Jaylon Johnson is listed in Pro Football Focus's top 50 players heading into the NFL season in 2024. We'll talk a little bit about that and how it's an important season of leadership ahead for Jaylon Johnson. We're also going to give an update from Caleb Williams on his contract situation and talk about the 4 players on the Chicago Bears that are most looking for contract extensions heading into next year. We're going to get to all that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central and every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into it for today. So we want to start off with Pro Football Focus. They ranked the top 50 players in the NFL, and Jaylon Johnson actually came in at number 42 on that list. They quoted this: Jaylon Johnson had a career year in 2023 and was arguably the best cornerback in the game. His 91.0 Pro Football Focus coverage grade was top mark in football, and he allowed just a 33.3 passer rating into his coverage, a lower figure than if opposing quarterbacks had thrown the ball into the dirt 50 times instead. The Bears brought him back on a contract extension for 2024 and beyond, so Jaylon is now tasked with repeating that level of play. And everything they said is there is right? And I've talked about a lot, and what I try to do with this platform is kind of debunk narratives while also saying that some of the narratives have some validity in them for sure, right? But there was this narrative heading into last season that maybe Jaylon Johnson wasn't worth it or whatever, whether it was because he wasn't Ryan Poles' guy or because, he didn't get the number of interceptions that people look for. And I think too often we look at that interception number and try to determine how good a cornerback is, but there is something to be said of when you just don't allow people to complete passes when they do throw to you, and you make opposing quarterbacks afraid to throw in your direction. And Jaylon Johnson has always been that. Yeah, it was great to see him get the 4 interceptions last year when after Montez Sweat came in, just how much better that pass coverage was able to be because of the pass rush overall. But Jaylon Johnson has always been a player that has found his way to be productive for the Chicago Bears team. He's always been one of the better cornerbacks in the NFL. And now he's just going to take it a step further and continue to show that he is that and solidify that even more. But he does step up. 2023 could be looked at very well as a breakout season for Jaylon Johnson in a lot of ways. But now, this season, he's stepping into a new leadership role as well. Even Jaylon Johnson still being as young as what he is, and it's easy to forget that Jaylon Johnson is still an extremely young player that hasn't even hopefully scratched his full potential as of yet. But he's stepping now into being the leader, especially in that secondary, maybe overall in the defense. He just turned 25 about 3 months ago, and he's heading into a season where everybody's going to look at him not only to step up his game in his 5th year, but also to kind of guide the leadership and the growth of those young players in that secondary as well. Yeah, Kevin Byard is a veteran, older than Jaylon Johnson, in the league longer, but he's a new Chicago Bear. Jaylon Johnson has been here, and so stepping into this leadership role, one that he's already embraced over years, right? I want to be clear here. It's not like he's ever been this player that just hasn't embraced leadership. No, he's done that for the course of his NFL career for sure. But Jaylon Johnson is ranked at 42nd on that list, and we'll see what other Bears. They haven't released the full list yet. There is a case for a chance for other Bears. Maybe Montez Sweat makes that list. So we'll see where he is on that list as well over time. But listen, Jaylon Johnson deserves everything coming his way, in my opinion, and I hope to see that continue to grow. Like, heck, you even had somebody like a Jalen Carter already being ranked as 41 on that list. Montez Sweat better be on this list somewhere. So far, all we have is 41 through 50 that's been released so far. If other Bears players are named on that list, we'll, of course, break that down on the subsequent days where that's dropped. But this is a huge season for Jaylon Johnson, and he understands it as well. And for his credit, he's excited about this new Bears team as well. Quoted as saying, "I can say this. This is one of the best rosters I've had since being with the Bears. Now the question is, with this being one of the best rosters by somebody who's been here for 4 years, what do the Bears actually do with it?" Right? That's the thing. Talent on paper is great to have. It's great for conversations. It's great for off-season talk. It's great for lists like Pro Football Focus's list, ESPN's list. It's all great for that. But everything for this Bears team comes down to what's on the football field. And that's what I've said. We're judging this team by wins. When I did the episode probably a couple months ago saying that the Bears are no longer rebuilding, right? They're no longer just a rebuilding team. They're a team that's still building for sure and still has things that they need to grow and develop, but they are now a team that we're starting to get to that area where wins are the most important thing that we can judge by. And so, yeah, we got a rookie quarterback. We got, a new offense, so that as well keeps that going. But overall, what we're looking for from this Bears team is wins, and how Jaylon Johnson, how the secondary, how each individual position group contributes to that is going to be the thing we're most looking at this season. At least I'm going to be looking at in reviewing and watching this team this year, and we'll see what comes of that. But all right, moving on from that, one of the bigger questions left hanging a lot for Bears fans is, why have Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze not signed their contract extensions yet? Now, with that said, we said as we get closer to training camp, that concern was going to grow more and more, right? And so rookies are reporting to training camp tomorrow. So that's something that, I said as we get closer to the opening of training camp, that's where it starts being more concerned. Now, Caleb Williams said this: I'm not handling that. My lawyers and attorney and everybody, the head of the Bears, everybody up there, up top is handling that. That's not my position that I'm handling. And I want Caleb to be focused on training camp, right? That's what I want Caleb Williams to be able to focus on, already setting up throwing sessions with his wide receivers. Caleb's focus needs to be on what he's bringing to the Chicago Bears this year on the football field handedly. But it is a fair question that a lot of Bears fans are asking, considering how close we're getting to training camp. And if the deals aren't completed by tomorrow, then they can't report to training camp. And so there's that question. Now, there have been some, questions on the Bears. Now, the Bears aren't having their first full squad practice until Friday. So if the Bears and Caleb Williams Rome Odunze, Caleb Williams don't agree to a contract by then, it's not the end of the world per se. It will start raising some questions. And there also been some kind of speculation from Bears fans online that they could be holding out, waiting to their deals until the first episode of Hard Knocks. And let's debunk that. Part of this job is debunking narratives. First, let's say this: the first episode of Hard Knocks with the Bears won't air until after the first preseason game. So they're not going to wait till then. That's not going to wait till then. Also, the cameras have been rolling with the Bears already since their first offseason program began. So if the Bears were to sign, or Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze were to sign their contracts, it would already be footage taken that they'll air at a later date. The show does not air live, so no, they aren't waiting until Hard Knocks starts airing to sign their contracts. Hard Knocks has already been in the building, been recording the Bears for a few weeks now. So if that was the case, that would have already been done as well. I'm not saying, I don't know exactly what's going on, but I can tell you what, it's not because of all of a sudden waiting till Hard Knocks for the Bears to sign these deals. I wouldn't be surprised if we may even hear that the deals get done maybe early tomorrow, maybe even as early as late today, something like that. If and when that happens, we will have a live breaking news episode once it goes down, so you ain't got to worry about that. The moment that the deals are signed and announced, we'll be live here on the channel like we were throughout the offseason, probably one of the first channels live, but it's not because of Hard Knocks. I get why that narrative was there. I get why that questioning was there by a lot of Bears fans, but it's not waiting until the episode of Hard Knocks. It doesn't air live. So let's debunk that right there. So, hopefully this gets done. We need this done before training camp. You definitely want it done before Friday, even though training camp opens, Tuesday. That's when everybody's slated to report, or the rookies. But you want it done by Friday, before the full contact practices and everything is supposed to start. And you definitely want it done as early before the preseason game as you can get, so we can get all these reps in. So, that's something to look at. It's something we're going to continue to monitor. I'm not saying that people who are concerned or wondering what's going on, what's causing this, don't have the right to be concerned about it, because you do. Overall, it's going to get done. It's not really, with rookie scale deals, you know exactly what the deal is going to get and what that's going to be. But it's more so that, like, the guaranteed money, the kind of flexibility in that, how much is guaranteed, what are the promises, things like that. But the contract itself, you're going to know exactly, we already know exactly what that's going to be. So we'll see what it comes down to. Rome Odunze, Caleb Williams have not yet did that. Caleb has already talked about being excited to start training camp. The rookies report, like I said, tomorrow. Veterans come in on the 19th. So we're only 4 days away from training camp being fully in gear. And that's when things really start getting exciting. I can't wait for that. The first full official practice happens July 20th as well. I think that's open to the public also. So can't wait for guys to see that. But at the end of the day, it's probably going to happen that Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze are going to sign their contract extensions here before the end of the week. I would guess that we're going to get that that announced. And once it is announced, like I said, we'll be live on the channel. You can bet your bottom dollar on that. Just make sure you guys, as well as are just prepared, hit that subscribe button so you get notified as soon as we go live on the channel as well. So with that said, talking about contracts with Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze, it brings us to Bears players that are looking for new deals heading in, or coming out of the 2024 season. They want that between now and the offseason. And of course, the first one that we got to talk about is Kevin Jenkins, right? He's the guy who we know can bring it. And we know what Kevin Jenkins is when he's fully healthy. Like I've said multiple times at this point, it's not a question on can he bring it on the football field. It's a question of how often is he going to be on the football field. And that's an interesting place for the franchise and Tevin to be on, because it's not like when he's not on the field, he's not one of the better offensive linemen in the game of football. He is. It's just about how much of that are they worried about that injury history. And so I do think that when it comes down to it, right, the Bears brought in flexible offensive linemen, things like this. This is the last year of Kevin Jenkins' rookie deal. And so without that, like if he enters this year fully without a deal, it increases the likelihood that Kevin Jenkins is going to be gone by the end of the season, or it could be more pricey for the Bears if he does end up having a fully healthy season, things like that. So it comes down to, do the Bears take a risk at coming up with a contract extension for Jenkins before the end of the season, or do they allow the season to play out and then based off what they see in that season, they go back to the drawing board? I mean, they will have the option to franchise tag, anything like that, if they need to, if Kevin Jenkins just has that good of a season and they want to maintain that ability to negotiate. But overall, it's a big question hanging over the season on what happens with Kevin Jenkins. And Kevin Jenkins, while I get it, the injury concerns being there since he started his NFL career, it's not like his production on the field is going to be easy to just replace. And so that's where the Bears sit at right now with this, is weighing that option of Kevin Jenkins versus the production and versus the risk of him not being on the football field for you. And we'll see where the Bears end up sitting in that. Ryan Poles is going to look over all the data possible. He's going to do what Ryan Poles always does, is find that value he's willing to pay based off the production and other concerns around it. The bigger question is that something Kevin Jenkins and his agents feel like ends up being a fair deal, or do they want to go to the drawing board with something different? So look out for that. I don't expect it to come down before the start of the season. I do think that they're going to want to see what Tevin brings. But that brings us to the next player, who is another offensive lineman, and that's Braxton Jones. Braxton Jones isn't in the same exact spot as Kevin Jenkins, but he's in a similar one. While it's not really the health being the biggest concern with him, it's how he's grown over. He still has a fourth year on his rookie deal for next season, so it's not like the Bears are as pressing as what they are with Kevin Jenkins, but you still need to take a look at what Braxton Jones is, because at the end of the day, this could be the season where they actually decide what that future is with Braxton Jones. And so with bringing in Kieran Allen as well in the third round, who looks to be a future starting tackle for the Bears, Braxton has to bring it. And we'll see. He's on a cheap rookie scale deal, but that could be looked at as, we got to get Keenan Allen ready by the time Braxton Jones' deal ends up. And like I've said on multiple episodes so far, it's not that Braxton is terrible. Anybody who talks around Braxton Jones like he's this terrible offensive lineman, they're just over embellishing some of his legitimate concerns around him. Penalties, handling the bull rush, things like that. But Braxton Jones still graded out as one of the better tackles in the game of football. The question that comes with him is, how much does he extend his game? And then do the Bears see the value in that, especially with a young guy who maybe has a more promising future in Keenan Allen there for the Chicago Bears? And that's a question that they have to ask as well. So Braxton Jones, another one of those players that is hoping to be able to get a contract extension sometime with the Bears next season. And then the two guys that it's kind of up in air, right? You got the veteran in Keenan Allen, who we just acquired this offseason. This will be his 1 year. And the question is, will it be a one and done year with that? Keenan Allen already saying how the market was reset, then kind of came down off that a little bit as well. He's making over $20 million this season with it. And he had a really good season in 2023. And if he has a really good season in 2024 as well, listen, it's not like Keenan Allen is not going to have suitors knocking at his door if he becomes an unrestricted free agent. But it depends on how Keenan Allen views himself, how he likes his first year here with the Chicago Bears, and how he sees the future going. If he sees himself as the depth here with DJ Moore, with Rome Odunze being able to help extend his career and him keep getting paid, maybe that is something. Does he show enough as well in this year? Like Ryan Poles has already basically said they will not be talking contract extension with Keenan Allen before the season starts. They're going to wait to see how he grows with this group. And I wouldn't be surprised if Ryan Poles is also looking at how much does Rome Odunze show us to where we're just comfortable with him being that second wide receiver, and then we'll take a shot in the slot, whether it's Tyler Scott, whether it's another wide receiver they feel they can get in next year's draft, or another one they feel they can get in free agency without paying a huge price tag. That's what it comes down to with Keenan Allen and the Chicago Bears. But, overall, it is going to be a talk around that. Can they come to a contract extension? And if I had to put a weight on this one, I kind of right now am expecting it to be a one-and-done year with Keenan Allen and the Chicago Bears. Now, again, if this offense takes off and looks amazing and Ryan Poles says we need to keep this together because this is a unit that we feel can get us close to contention with the ascending Caleb Williams, then so be it, right? But I do think that it's going to be weighing the risk versus the reward of keeping a veteran like Keenan Allen around, even though his injury history is a bit overblown, to just see what he's going to bring with this. And then the next guy, and the guy that I think has the least likely chance of returning for the Chicago Bears, is Khalil Herbert. And, I've seen some narrative things where people say, well, this is because he's not a Ryan Poles guy. That's why. And no, you look at, is Jaylon Johnson a Ryan Poles guy? Technically, no. Is, it was Cole Kmet a Ryan Poles guy? Technically, no, right? So we got to start with that. I get it why that thought process is there. And for some people, it does play a part, right? When somebody's borderline, I'm not saying that it doesn't play a part in somebody being their guy. I think that played a role in Justin Fields and going out and getting their quarterback. But when it comes down to Khalil Herbert, it's just the fact that he's at probably the easiest replaceable position in the NFL. On top of, you gave big money to DeAndre Swift to come in here as a running back. I think the writing's on the wall that Khalil Herbert is probably playing his last season for the Chicago Bears. Now, I could be wrong in that. Much like I said with the wide receiver core, let's say that this three-man running back lineup shows so much upside that Ryan Poles is willing to pay to keep it together. There is a possibility of that. But in a league where you're getting starting caliber running backs coming in and out of the league every single draft and far down in the draft as well, it doesn't always have to be a high draft pick. With the Bears already having their starting caliber running back, and depending on what Jaylon Johnson shows this year as far as development in his second year, the writing may be on the wall that Khalil Herbert just is not going to be here long-term for the Chicago Bears. And not to say that he still doesn't have a good career ahead of him. It's not a knock on Khalil Herbert. I think that Khalil Herbert can still be a pretty damn good running back, and I think that he has shown his ability to be that secondary running back. There's some questions on, can he be your starting every down running backs aren't really a thing in the NFL anymore, but there's a question when it comes down to that. But overall, Khalil Herbert is in a tough situation and in a situation where it is stacked up against him. So to say that it just may be that he's just not coming back here for the Chicago Bears. And so that's things that we got to look on, man. And, that's what it is. But overall, guys, thank you so much. Training camp is right around the corner. This is where things are about to get interesting and we get even more active here at Chicago Bears Central. We've been not live, but we've been dropping episodes basically every day. My son's graduation and some, other life things have stopped that from being every single day like it was last offseason. But the grind doesn't stop here. And during the season, you're going to get live calls from C-Dub. He'll be live during every single game, basically. You're going to get live post-game shows as well. We're going to be breaking down everything on the channel like only we can do here at Chicago Bears Central. And a big part of why we're able to do that is because of you guys. So training camp, reporting tomorrow. We'll get any news on reporting and things like that. We may even have some contract news to come out between now and then. And if we do, cool. That's the biggest and most important thing there. So, but guys, thank you so much for just being the best part of us doing this job, man. I speak for C-Dub. I speak for Bobby when I say that you guys are what make this special and make this feel like it's not a job. And it's not. This is us doing passion. We are Bears fans first that are just passionate and love our team. And hopefully that comes through as well. But guys, make sure you guys are following us at Chi Bears Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, chicagobearscentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag between now and the start of training camp, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. That's thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.